We're live.
All right. Welcome back. So this week we're back with another great topic. This one I'm really excited for. We're talking to preparing your dogs for back to school time. It's definitely back to school time. Some kids are already back to school, but it's not too late to put some things into action when we're talking about your dogs going back to school. But Scott, I know your daughter's like pretty young, but does she go to
Yeah.
daycare? Do you guys? So are you guys sending her to daycare in September, or is she already in daycare?
She started doing Montessori school 2 days a week in August, and
Oh,
next
nice.
week she starts 5 days. So definitely back to school. Uh,
Hmm.
Routine's going to be a little different, especially when Archie starts going to back to daycare as well. And so it's going to be a
Yep,
interesting time for sure. Like the schedules will
exactly.
be very different, I think. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah,
Mhm. Yep.
yeah,
So exactly. So back to school definitely affects your dog in many different ways. And ideally, it's not
yeah.
something that you would really even think of. You're like, okay, what's the big difference? My dog, my kids are going back to school. It's just a change in schedule for me. And you really only think about getting yourself and your family's routine together, but you actually need to get your dog together too. So I want to go
Oh,
through a few things you can do to get your dog together for back to school time. So one of the first things you want to do is think about curbing your dog's boredom through enrichment, puzzle toys, and games. Because if you think about it, all summer long you've been taking your dog with you, they've been playing all day in the house, you've been taking them to a dog park, but things are going to change. Even if you do take them to do those things, it may not be as much as you have did in the summer. So you want to make sure that your dog is occupied during the time that your kids are transitioning to school. So just make sure you do have those appropriate toys that are going to keep your dogs busy. This is a great time. I always talk about switching out toys, but this is a good time to take an inventory of your dog's toys and make sure that you have the ones that are going to keep them engaged for a long time and keep them stimulated, and make sure that you're using those throughout the day to keep your dogs busy so you can get stuff done and get the kids situated.
that
The
makes sense.
next thing, just like Scott was talking about, routines are going to be different for you and for your dog. Before school starts, you want to ease your dog into a new routine. A lot of times we're like, okay, kids, you have to start going to bed early. You have to start doing this. But there's going to be a few things you're going to have to do for your dog to get them prepared for that new routine. So if your dog gets up, say at 9 o'clock, but you know that you're going to be getting up at 6 a.m., you want to start getting your dog up at the same time prior to you even starting to do that. So they're used to the new routine, and they're not going to be like all confused, like, hey, what's going
Yeah.
on? Um,
Yeah.
Actually, and so another thing you want to do is go back a little bit. When it comes down to the toys, you want to try to introduce these activities with your dogs playing with these toys when people are gone, because essentially
Okay.
people are going to be gone from the house during the day. And so you want to make sure they can engage during the time people are gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Pushing forward, this is the big thing. If you're working on potty training, determine your dog's bathroom breaks. Okay. Before school starts. So, um, yes, dogs can go a long day without, using the bathroom if they're older. The younger ones need to go out a lot more. So if you aren't sure how long your dog can hold it, if you know your routine's going to be changing a little bit, start now, getting your dog on that new schedule. So one, if you're working through potty training, you're not having accidents in the home. Two, if you're just finishing up potty training, you don't want your dog to regress. And three, if you have an older dog, you just want to make sure that you're getting them out enough. So definitely take a look at your new schedule and routine, and make sure you're scheduling in appropriate times for bathroom breaks. Another one that you might not think about, but that is very important, is you want to do a trial run with background noises. And so you're
Okay.
probably thinking, like, what does that mean? So if your dog's going to be home alone, let's just say, I mean, even if it's like one or two people home, say you're working from home, but ideally your dog's going to be alone, you want to make sure you find out what noises that startle your dog from the outside, whether it's people walking by, people walking upstairs. Because remember, the kids are going to be gone. So it's not like the saturation that they already know of those noises. So you want
Yeah.
to take into consideration the other. And so, do you know for a fact, do you have any noises that you think Archie would be kind of triggered by if you left him home alone? Scott's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this sounds familiar.
Yeah. Like because we live in a condo, if he hears things in the hallway, usually that'll trigger him. We actually just recently we got a mount for our Google like Mini type of thing, and so we
Yep.
have an ensuite. He usually hangs out in our bedroom with the ensuite, and then we close the door. So we actually have like that Google Mini attached to a plug, we just actually
Mhm.
run white noise at a low volume to help drown out those additional sounds, just to help that out type of thing. Because
Mhm.
we know he has the triggers, and it'll get him like I guess agitated or just excited or whatnot, and then not
Yep.
necessary. So yeah,
Exactly. And so that's one thing you can do the same thing Scott does. You can use white noise to drown out the sound. Classical and reggae music. Sorry, the doggies are playing in the background. I'm trying to call doggies. And so classical and reggae music's known to settle a dog. So you can throw some of that on. But essentially
yeah,
drowning out the noise will help. And then when it comes down to training, we always talk about building a positive association. You can always treat them while the noise is going on, so they're not barking. They learn that, they don't have to do that, but that's a whole nother lie. But for now,
that's
you
true.
can use like the background noises and stuff like that. Another thing you might want to consider doing is just taking your dog to classes to get some obedience under their belt, especially if they're in the house and they're going crazy and stuff. Ongoing training is always good for your dog, and it's going to be good even when your kids are in school, especially cat classes. Once you have your kids' schedule and their evening activities down, try looking for some classes to get your dog into those so they have structure and something to do in the meantime, aside from just being home alone.
Yeah,
Another thing you want to consider too, and this is a big one. When I come out to my clients' home that, with the kids and the families, the biggest thing is the morning time routine. My dog's
yeah,
in the way. My dog's doing this. My dog's doing that. Get up prior to getting your kids up early and take your dog for a walk or do something mentally stimulating with them. Give them a calm to engage in so that when your kids are getting up, they're not as, rambunctious and ready to play when you're trying to get your kids in order. So just getting up and just letting them get, give them their food, letting them get settled, taking them for a walk, getting the kids, and then getting them together. But if you do realize that, I took my dog for a walk and I still have some energy, my kids are coming out, try putting them in a crate or in another room or using a gate area and giving them something to do in there while you get the kids situated. And then you can bring them out once it's, you get the kids out the door and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah. And so these are just some helpful tips that you can use to get your dog ready, preparing your kid back to school. And if you're thinking like, wow, my kids are back to school, it's never too late. You can start this now.
Yeah,
Anytime
for
there's a
sure.
change in routine, not only just back to school, any change in routine, you always want to take these tips into consideration. So hope that you learned some tools to get you through back to school. Sorry I couldn't help you so much with the kids, but hopefully working with the dogs will help some of the kids too. Scott,
We
do you
made the
have
kids for you,
anything?
but
Exactly. Do you have
right.
anything to piggyback off of before we hop off? Yeah.
The only other thing I'd say, like, is if you don't have time because of the kids for like obedience class and that sort of thing, maybe look into like a daycare or whatnot for like we do half
Yeah.
days from time to time, and that just gives them time. If it's obviously research them, but if it's a good one, it's an awesome time for them to socialize, hang out, get a lot of that energy out during the day when you're at work, the kids are at school. So
Mhm.
then when they are home, they're drained. They're not like looking for so much attention because they've already got that socialization out of their system that we find that
Exactly.
helps
They'll be
out a
so
bit. So
tired.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, so it
Yep.
helps out quite a bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
So I hope you got some good tips. Other than that, we'll see you next week and enjoy your day. Bye.
Have a good one, everyone. Bye.